Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Saurabh Chabra. In my previous video, I showed you how to create a resource group in Terraform for Azure, and then we use variable to do the same thing. In this video, I would be going further and creating few other resources like VNet and Subnets while doing the same. So needless to say, so if you like my video, please like, share, and comment, and do follow my YouTube channel. So let's just get started. Uh, in our previous video, let me just show you what was the main file which we worked upon. So in this file, we have a provider, and then we wanted to have a resource group. And with this resource group, I have declared a variable, and then I pointed to a variable, and then there was a variable file in it which had been declared the type of variable, and which was RG name and location, and then there was a TFR files which had the actual name of the RG and the location. So what I've done is I've created another folder and copied the same code, okay, but I have not initiated it as of now. So you could see that there's only these files, but when we go into the lab2 folder, you would see that there is .terraform file, it's lock, there is a tfstate file, tfstate backup file. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about a tfstate file. Tfstate file is a file whenever we create an environment, right, which has already been implemented once. So whenever we have run a particular code at least once, Terraform creates a state file, and whenever we are updating uh, the infrastructure, and whenever we are updating our code and then saving it and then rerunning it, so it will basically checks for your previous state. And for checking your previous state, it checks the terraform.tf state file. And this is very critical file because Terraform will only consider this file to check your previous implementation. When I say your previous implementation, basically Terraform sees this file and understand what was your previous infrastructure created. It will not log into Azure and see what all things are implemented, but it will just check the tfstate file and see, this is the current state, and whenever you are changing it, it will reflect the change. So that whenever we type Terraform plan, it will basically refer to this particular tfstate file, check what all changes that you are making, and then comes up with the statement that you are planning to add something, you are planning to change something, or you are eventually deleting or destroying something. So this is a very critical file. You don't have to do anything on it, you don't have to change anything on it. I'll just show you, and it is a JSON format. As this file have all your infrastructure details, so it is absolutely recommended to not share this file with anyone. And when I say not even with the people who has access to the infrastructure, but only with the developers. When I say developers, the one which are working on your code. So what we usually do is we usually keep this state file, we keep it in version control, we can keep it in Git, or what is recommended by Microsoft is you keep this state file in a storage account, have a keys implemented, and don't give access to everyone, right? So this is where the backup state file comes into picture. So I will talk about this later, how you manage your state file, because it would be a different video altogether. But I just wanted to share that state file is very important. We don't have to do anything on it as of now, but yeah, to maintain it in a later stages, we have to work on it. I will create a separate video how to keep the state file in a backend, in a storage account, and how to access it. Yeah. So what? Okay. So let's just remove this and go back to our lab3 folder where we have created these three files. So when I say these three files, it means that I've just copied the code. Okay, I've not initialized it. let me just initialize it, and you would know that there would be a dot Terraform file would be created. So yeah, let me just go to this folder first. Okay, so let me just see if these three files are there, and you can see only these three files are there. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll quickly initiate Terraform. And you could see while initiating the Terraform, it has created a uh, Terraform files, right? Because it is just gonna lock it for you. There's a log file as well. Okay, so now as we have initiated it, so what I'll do is I'll quickly try to implement this, right? So I have deleted the previous state from my previous lab. So what I'll do is I will plan it and see what all things it will create. So let me just show you what all things we have. We had MIT prod WERG01, but I have changed the name. This was for the lab 2, right? But what I have done is I've changed the TFR file just to have a different name of the RG. So this RG would be the new RG name. So as you could see, it has created tfstate.lock as well, right? And tfstate files when we initiated it, right? So you could see that it has when we have initiated Terraform plan, it says one to add. So let me just apply and create a resource group again, and that would be a different name, because what I've done is, so that this was the idea of showing you how to, so the only thing I wanted to show you was that though we have copied the main file, we have copied the code, but what changes that we made, we only changed the name of the RG in the TFR files. And this is where I wanted to show you that whenever if you are building the same thing again and again, you just have to change the name for your different clients. So this is what I wanted to show you if you just have to create a resource group, right? So this is a very small example where you are just changing the name from the TFR files, but that's the idea. That's the idea behind creating a long code and just changing the TFR files for different clients, for different environments, for that matter. Okay, you can just give the different name and it will be created in the same way that it was created in the main file. So yep, so now it has says that it has created. We will just verify it. Yeah, so it has created RGWEINF net01. Yep, so it has created this. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add let me just see if there's any resource in it. Yeah, so there's no resource. As you could see that there is no resource as of now. So we're gonna update this with a VNet. And for VNet, what we need to do is, let me just go back to the Terraform VNet Azure RM. So here you will, in this registry, you would see how to create a resource group. I know it's kind of a big code, but I'll just break it down for you. So what all things it's there? It says that it will create a resource group here. It will create a NSG here. It will create a virtual network here, and then we have subnets here. But currently we just need a virtual network code, right? So I'll just copy this, though we can create step by step, but I'll just copy this just to show you what and why are we doing this stuff, right? So let me just copy this code. Currently I'm updating, so let me just show you what exactly we are doing. So it is infra, right? So let me just say it's infra. So we created resource group till here, and now we are creating a virtual network. So I've just copied the code, so it'll say resource, right? So when it say resource, what we are doing is we are creating a resource. So this is the main name which has to be there, because Terraform will understand this name. For creating a resource group, it will understand this name. For creating a virtual network, you have to have this name here, right? And when we say example, you can give whatever label. It's kind of a label for Terraform to understand. It'll create create an ID for it. So this is kind of a label only for Terraform to understand. This will not go into Azure. What will go to Azure is the name, whatever you put you type in here. So this is where you have to put in the name of the virtual network, and this is where you just have to label it to Terraform to understand what would be your virtual network name. So let me just go back to my Excel and go back to the VNet. So this would be the VNet that we were ought to create. Let me just, so what we are doing is that there are a couple of ways to do it, right? As I showed you last time, that we created resource group normally with the names written here, and then we created a resource group with while using the variable. So I would be doing the same. I would be creating the infrastructure first with hard coding the values there, and then afterwards I would be using the variables to show you that everything can be done via variable, just to make it easier and reusable for every code, right? So currently I'm just using it as a hard code value. So what we have done is we have copied the code. I'm just giving the example as VNet 1, because it would be for infra level VNet. Okay, so or what I can give is VNet INF. So just to be sure that it's for the infra VNet. Okay, so location. So when we say location, I can hard code the value, or what we can do is we can tell Terraform to take the location of my resource group. So what I'll do is I'll refer, so as you know, that when I'm highlighting this, automatically this is being highlighted. Why? Because I'm giving a reference of the resource that we have created earlier, which is the resource group. So it is resource group dot the label, which is here. So Terraform will only understand labels, right? It will not understand anything else. So what I am referencing it is the label which I am referencing. So now it says whatever the location of the RG is, it will take the the VNet would be created in that location, right? So I have mentioned as Azure RM resource group RG name dot location there again, and the resource group name would be the same. It would be Azure RM resource group, and then again RG name and then dot name. So it will go here, and then the name. It will go here, and then the location. And then what is in the location? That is in the variable, which will go into the variable file. And in variable file, we are just declared what type of variable, but the actual values is declared in the tf var files. If you could see here, so it will go here. So let me just go back to my main file. Yeah. So if you could see here, what we have done is we have done these three lines of code. I'll go back to the address space, and we are gonna create this address space as of now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hard code the value here. Okay, this would be the address space, and if you want to have the DNS names to be there in your VNet, you can do that. If you don't want to do that, you can very well do it later. What I'll do is I'll put it as 4 here, put it as 5 here. So whenever you are creating a virtual machine, 4 and 5 is already taken as a DNS servers. So you would be creating DNS servers which will have 4 and 5 as a IP address. Okay. So well, we just go down and see that we are creating two different subnets here. And while creating a subnet, you could see that you just have to give the name. So again, I just wanted to clear things out that what we have done is we have created a virtual network here, and inside virtual network we are defining the subnet. Defining subnet within the virtual network is kind of an easy job to do, but what you can also do is you can declare the subnet as a resource and do it outside the virtual network. Okay, I'll show you how to do that as well, but currently let's just give this an example where we are just creating two subnets. Let me just check what all subnets that we create. Let's just create, okay, let's create a gateway subnet first. Okay, this would be the name, gateway subnet, and this would be the IP address range for gateway subnet. And then we create a second, which is SNet, and we are giving subnet 2. Okay, and then we are giving it an IP address range, which is this. I am not giving a security group here. So in the code that we selected, there is a security group here. What I did, this is security group is listed here because there is a security group code here, network security group code here. So what this code is doing is it is creating a virtual network, it is creating two subnets, and it is associating the subnet 2 with the network security group. But as I'm not doing a network security group as of now, we're gonna delete this particular code, this particular line. Okay, so it will not associate. So this is basically how it will associate, but I'm just gonna delete this because currently we are not gonna show you how to add it. I'll do it later. This is the tag value because we are creating a virtual network, so it will only add this particular value. We can add more tags like this in our RG, in our subnets, and whatever resource that we are creating. This is how it will basically add. So now what I'm gonna do is I am gonna save this. Okay, and I'm just creating two subnets. No, I have to create 4 subnets. Let me just create at least 2 more. Yeah, so let me add this particular code out here twice. So it's that easy. We just have to, as I always say, create an Excel, understand what your infra would look like, and then work on it. So it would be creating a subnet. I'm just gonna update everything. So this would be creating a managed subnet, and managed subnet will have this particular IP range. Yep, so what we have done is we have created, we would be creating a virtual network, and which will have 1, 2, 3, and 4 subnets, and we have tagging for that particular VNet. I'm just gonna save this file and I'll go back to my terminal. I'm just gonna run plan just to see if my code is working, right, and to see what all things it will be creating, right. So as you can see, whenever I'm running a Terraform plan files, something is changing in here, right. So what it'll do is it'll go back to the tfstate file, it'll check what is the state of my previous implementation, infrastructure creation, and then it'll refer that, and it'll see what all changes that I've done in my code. It'll go back and give me an output that these things will gonna change. So currently it'll say create, and what it will create a VNet infra with the name as VNet WEINF01, and I could see here that it will create few subnets out of it, right? And it will have a tag value, and it says plan 1. I'm just gonna apply this. I'll just show you that there's no VNet with this name. Yeah, so if you could see VNet EUS is there, but it's not with the name that I am gonna have it now. So because the VNet, the one that I want is VNet WEINF01. So you could see it's not there. So it is gonna implement that. Yeah, so it is running. Let me just pause this video and come back. Yep, so I could see that it took around 10 seconds, and it says that it has created one resource, zero change and zero destroyed. I'll go back to my terminal and see if it has created something or not. Let's see. I'm just gonna refresh it again and again. Yep, I could see that it has taken few more seconds just to reflect, and yeah, I could see that it has created. Let's just see if it has created the subnets the way we desired. Yes, it has created gateway subnet. It has created the subnets that we wanted it to do. But as you could see, there's no NSG, there's no route table. So yeah, currently it's just an environment where we have created a resource group, and within that resource group, we have created VNets. You could see that there's just a one VNet, and within the VNet, we know that there's subnets that we wanted. So yeah, so this is one way to create a VNet. I would be creating another video where I would be showing you another way to create VNets, where VNet would be not subnet would not be the part of the VNet. Subnet would be part of a separate resource where you would be reflecting back to the VNets. So yeah, thank you very much.